Imagine you wake up tomorrow and you don't have a job. Not you got laid off. I mean, the idea of a job doesn't exist. No boss, no paycheck, no alarm screaming at 6 a.m., no inbox, no meeting that should have been an email. 20,000 years ago, that was every single human on Earth. And here's the part that'll bother you. They weren't poor. They weren't starving every day. By a lot of measures, they were freer than you are right now. Stick with me to the end because there's a twist in this story, and the twist is about you. Let's start simple. How many hours a day did an ancient human actually work? You probably picture it as all of it. Dawn to dark, clawing at the dirt, every second a fight to survive. That's how the cartoons drew it. That's what the word primitive is supposed to feel like. But anthropologists went and lived with the last hunter-gatherer groups on Earth, and they counted. They timed it, and the number came back all wrong. 3 hours, maybe 4. That's the average an adult spent getting all the food for the day. 3 hours of work, and you were done. Not done the way you're done. Not off the clock, but I still have to hit the store, cook, and answer 3 texts. I mean actually done. The rest of the day was yours. There's a famous study by an anthropologist named Marshall Sahlins. He called these people the original affluent society. Affluent, rich, not because they had stuff, they had almost nothing, but because they had the one thing you can't buy back, time. His numbers put it around 15 to 20 hours a week. That's it. That's the whole work week. You spend more time than that just commuting and answering emails you'll forget by Friday. So what did they do with the rest? They talked, they rested in the shade, they played with their kids, not quality time squeezed into 40 minutes after daycare, but the whole afternoon. They told stories by the fire. They did nothing, that nothing you feel guilty about. That nothing your whole culture tells you is lazy. They did it every single day, and no one shamed them for it. Now let's talk about the boss, because they didn't have one. Sit with that for a second. Nobody stood over you. Nobody decided when you woke up or when you were allowed to leave. Nobody could fire you, because nobody had hired you. You didn't work for someone. You worked with everyone, for yourself and your people. There was no manager reviewing your performance. No one looked at you once a year and said, "We're not doing raises this cycle." They had no wage because there was no money, which means there was no one deciding what you were worth. No number attached to your name. You brought back food, you ate. You brought back extra, you shared it. That was the whole economy. They had no rent, no bills, no debt. Nobody was born already owing a bank 30 years of their life. Your home was wherever you set it down. The land didn't belong to anyone, so it belonged to everyone. No mortgage, no landlord, no student loan following you around like a shadow for a decade. And this is the part where you start to envy them. That's normal. 3-hour workdays, no boss, no rent. Half the day free under an open sky. It sounds like a vacation that never ends. It sounds like the exact thing people pay thousands of dollars for now. The digital detox, the retreat, the Learn to be Present seminar. They had it for free, from birth. You're already doing the math, aren't you? How you'd escape. Quit the job, sell the stuff, go live in the woods. Okay, this is the turn, because we've been comparing it wrong this whole time. You've been thinking, they worked 3 hours, I work 8. So they were slaves to nature, and I'm the free citizen of civilization. So let's actually count. How many hours do you really work? 8 in the office. Add the commute, an hour there, an hour back. That's 10. Add the lunch break that isn't really yours. Add the emails you read in bed before you fall asleep. Add the meeting that ate your afternoon. Add the Sunday scaries, that pit in your stomach every weekend when the work isn't even happening yet and it's still taking your time. Add the certification you're studying for after hours so you don't fall behind. Add the side hustle you picked up to cover the card, and now the part nobody counts. You go to the store, but somebody grew that food, packed it, shipped it. You pay for it with money, and money is just your hours. Every object in your home is a chunk of your life you traded away to buy it. The ancient human bought dinner with 3 hours of hunting. You buy yours with hours in front of a screen, and it usually costs you more. Add all of it up, And it turns out you don't work 8 hours. You work 11, 12, some of you 14. It's just that a lot of that work doesn't look like work, so you never noticed you were doing it. The ancient humans' workday ended. Completely. When the food was in, you switched off. You were unreachable. There was no way to ping you. You can be pinged forever. That phone in your pocket is a leash. Your boss can reach you anywhere on the planet in 1 second. You never fully clock out. You check your email on vacation, the vacation you had to ask permission for, and they gave you 10 days and you felt grateful. So let me ask you again, between the two of you, who was actually free? Now, how did this even happen? How did the freest animal on Earth end up begging for 10 days off? There's a moment historians point to. We call it progress. Farming, agriculture. It promised us security, a steady supply, no more bad hunts, and it delivered. But it smuggled in something else. The second you can grow a surplus and store it, you can own it. And the second something can be owned, someone can own more of it than you. That's where the boss is born. That's where the landlord is born. That's where taxes and hierarchy and the 40-hour week are born. The hunter-gatherer didn't work for a boss because he wasn't feeding a system. He was only ever feeding himself and his people. We built the system, the pyramid, the ladder, the quarterly targets, and then we climbed inside it and called it civilization. Farming didn't free us from labor. It gave us more of it and handed the surplus to whoever sat at the top. So here's the twist, the one that actually changes how tomorrow feels. The ancient human had no boss because he wasn't a slave. And you work more than he did, longer, without a real day off, with a leash in your pocket that never stops buzzing, and you do it voluntarily. Nobody's driving you with a stick. You set the alarm yourself. You sit in the traffic yourself. You answer the email at 10 p.m. yourself. He worked to survive, and then he lived. You work to survive, and then you work more, to pay for the things that help you cope with how much you work. He didn't have a word for burnout, not because he was tougher than you, because he physically didn't have the thing that causes it, work that never, ever ends. Yes, we got something in the trade, a warm house, a doctor, food that isn't trying to kill us. It wasn't a stupid deal, but nobody told you what you were handing over. You gave up the one thing that made him rich, and you didn't even notice it leave. He gave 3 hours and got the rest of the day back. We give almost everything, and then wonder why there's nothing left over for the living part. He had no boss. You have one. And the hardest part to swallow is this. Most of the time, that boss is you. Maybe freedom isn't quitting and running to the woods. Maybe it's one evening where you actually switch off, all the way off, the way every human on Earth did, for 20,000 years straight. Your calendar for tomorrow is already full. His wasn't. So, who's really free?